Welcome, Lumineers and fans of the happiest card game on earth. First of all, thank you so much for everyone who's been hanging out so far. We're just around 250 subscribers, which is just insane and incredible. Welcome to every single one of you. YouTube does tell me that about 70% of the people who watch this aren't subscribed, though. You know what you need to do if you want to keep up to date with all of the Lorcana news and be here at the ground level of, hopefully, a fantastic YouTube community. Make sure you click that subscribe button so you don't miss anything in the future, as we are rattling through these videos where we take a bit of a deeper dive at the original 7 cards, the magnificent 7, I can't even say the word, and today we're doing Cruella DeVil. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. She's a 2-costed 1/3 in green. We don't know what that means yet. We don't know what whether they really reference much other than just different types, or whether or not it's going to be part of the casting cost. There was that rumor that for some reason has stuck around a lot more than others, and I don't really know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it does suggest that the cost for cards will be coloured, and you'll need at least one of the matching colours in your deck. I do think we'll probably see some kind of restriction as to the colours you play in a deck, because otherwise there's no real need for the colours, I feel. For instance, in Magic the Gathering, there is a format called Commander where one card, actually usually with multiple colours, sits as the leader of the deck, and then you can only play cards in your deck that matches the colour identity of the Commander card. I know the recent One Piece card game that's just had its pre-release, it looks quite fun as well actually. They have the same kind of thing. There is a leader card, and you can only play cards in the deck of the same colour as that leader. Whether or not we'll see something like that, or just the fact that the costing ability, the way that you actually get to play these cards, is color-coded, and therefore it's going to be a little bit more difficult to play more colors than it would be to niche down into some smaller color combinations. We're yet to know, but I do feel like we will see some sort of building restrictions around these colors. Sorry if I sound a bit snuffy, I've got a bit of a snuffle this week. Anyway, moving on. You'll be sorry, a line from the movie. When this character is challenged or banished, you may return a chosen character to their player's hand. I feel like this is quite a control player card, and what I mean by that, for a lot of the... I know a lot of the folks listening are new to card games and are just interested because this is a Disney property, so I'm kind of speaking to you when I talk about some of the things that I imagine these cards are going to do. A control player is the sort of player who very literally has control of the board and isn't necessarily trying to win through straight up sort of combat. They're more trying to win through the atrophy of the other player, burning the other player out, making the other player use all of their resources or be unable to use their resources, so that then they can sort of stand upon the ashes, kind of thing. So that's kind of a control player's mindset, is I want to have full control over what's happening here. I won't necessarily be looking to win early. I'll most likely be looking to play the game long and burn out the other opponents, literally sort of let them run out of cards in their hand even. Something like that is quite a common thing to do for a control player. And I feel like this is the kind of card we're going to see in control decks within Lorcana. So what does it mean? Let's break it down. When this character is challenged or banished, we don't challenged and banished, excuse me. So we don't actually know what challenged is yet, but we assume because of other abilities like Challenger on Captain Hook, for instance, that it's a creature, a character-to-character combat mechanism is what we're pretty sure we're seeing there, or at least a. Whether or not combat comes into it, it's at least a biggest number wins, because other cards suggest that the attack number there, the number in the star, gets larger. So we assume it's attack and toughness, or power and defense, that kind of thing. So what we're seeing there is a challenge happens and Cruella DeVil is defeated, then I can return a chosen character to their player's hand. Now, one thing it doesn't specifically say there is it has to be something that you control. It doesn't specifically have to be something that an opponent controls. And what I like about this is it really gives you some options. Obviously, you would think the clear thing to do there is to send something big back that's on their side of the table, make them have to recast it, make them have to... It's a tempo play, it's a control-y play, slow them down by having to spend the mana on their next turn, or I say mana, that's a magic term, but spend the resources on their next turn to replay the character so that they're back to where they were 2 turns ago. But also, it could be beneficial to bounce back something to your own hand as well. Bounce is a term you'll probably hear thrown around when talking about this card. Very often, having a permanent card on the board be returned to a player's hand is known as bouncing. In many games, most games use that terminology, and I'm sure as hell think we'll see it coming over into Lorcana. I'm actually planning a video, by the way, of 10 or maybe more card game terms that you'll hear if you are new to this game, and it will explain what some of them mean. So things like mulligans, things like bouncing, all of that we're going to be covering soon on the channel. So again, if you haven't subscribed, do that. I'd hate doing the whole subscribe and like thing, but it's super cheesy, but you know, that's how this works, right? So go and do it. So you may think it's beneficial to send something of theirs back. It may well be beneficial to send something of yours back, though, instead. It can often be a way to protect something that you know is about to get blasted. You know, it's much better to have something come back to your hand than to be banished completely. It could also be a way of getting an ETB trigger, again another term that we'll be covering in that video, an enter the battlefield trigger. Some of the cards we've seen here from Lorcana do have a when this card is played XYZ happens, so there's no reason to think that if that card is bounced to your hand, you can then replay it and you get a double whammy, you get another trigger off of that entering the battlefield, the ETB. So I think this card is a little bit better than a lot of other people I've seen do these kind of discussions on this card are giving it credit for. A lot of people are saying it's pretty weak. Again, none of us really know until we see more of the mechanics of the game. We're basing these purely on what we know from other card games that play similarly, we imagine play similarly. But I think actually the fact that this card is able to send anything back, not just something of yours or something of your opponent's, actually makes it quite useful and quite modular in how it works. The one negative I've seen a lot of people talk about this card is that when this character is challenged or banished, which means you won't be able to get to pick when that happens, they are assuming that this game will work similar to, I believe, Pokemon and also to One Piece, in that the challenger, the attacker, gets to choose what is being attacked. But there's nothing so far that says that, and actually I think that this card and another card that mentions being challenged might actually be that the challengee, the messer becomes the messy, that I actually think the person who's being challenged may well be able to choose where the blockers come from, where the sort of second half of that combo comes from. I have nothing to go on with that personally. I just think it would make this card make a little bit more sense that you can throw this card in front of an attack that may well be coming through to you or through to another creature. Maybe there is some sort of key creature mechanic like a commander or a leader that we don't know about yet, or maybe it is purely that creatures can kind of get pushed through, which again kind of makes sense to me, because it seems that things like evasive suggest that combat damage can come over the top of creatures. I may well be looking at this through magic tinted specs too much, perhaps. It is definitely the card game I play the most, and it's the one I have the most knowledge of, although I've kind of dabbled in all of them. As a manager at a game store, you kind of have to know your way around most of them. But I do feel like the more of this game I see and the more I think about it, the more I think that it's going to work a little bit more similar to a Magic setup, in that I get to choose as the blocker where the damage goes. And then I would have no problem throwing Cruella DeVil in front of something, having her get banished, therefore something else not taking damage, and as a bonus I can also bounce something back as well. The only thing is perhaps the win condition. We've talked about the little diamonds there, the little ink splots in the corner being a win condition. Perhaps at the end of your turn, having 10 of them is the win con or something, and then therefore bouncing something back, bouncing like a Mickey back that has 4 on, can really slow down your opponent. But otherwise, I'm not sure. I do feel like this is a good card. As far as the actual card looks, it's fantastic. Nicholas Coller's done a great job. I think Cruella there looks incredible. The green smoke around her obviously fits with the rest of the green aesthetic of the card. She's just a storyborn villain, one of the cards that has the fewest key words there. I think the only other one with 2 is Robin Hood that has Storyborn Hero. But again, the Storyborn there leans into what we spoke about last time with Captain Hook, in that the picture here of Cruella is quite a classic looker for her, sort of straight out of the movie, which lends herself towards being a Storyborn, makes sense. But otherwise, I'm really excited to see how these keywords go into the game more. Villain, can I build a villain deck, and is there bonuses and benefits from building all villains, that kind of thing. I'm hoping we get to see soon. It's been a few weeks since D23. We haven't really seen much else yet, unfortunately. I'm very much looking forward to new data, new information. I'd really love to see like a monthly news drop. That would be fantastic. It really keep us sort of chomping at the bit and just drip feeding us that info until we get to launch next year. So yeah, things like that I would love to see very soon. But until then, we'll keep looking at these cards. We'll keep got other fun ideas for videos coming up, games to play whilst you're waiting for Lorcana, and like I say, terminology you might hear within the game community that might not make sense to you, and loads of other stuff as well. So again, please give us a like, drop a subscribe on this video. I promise you won't be disappointed, and if you are, then I broke my promise, I guess. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I will see you then. I don't really have a proper way to end these videos yet. I need to come up with a good YouTuber spiel, but I haven't got one. Bye.